Hey, it's Camo with Nashville Access, Facebook Live, the MV2 sessions. It's been a while since we've had one or two of these, and so we thought if we're coming back, we got to do it in style. So look, it's Freeman Arthur making a return appearance, a much vaunted and celebrated
return appearance in the 2018 season here. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
It's always great having you because you're multi-talented and you do a ton of different things.
Well, it depends on who you ask, but yeah, I mean, a few different instruments. It's just we were talking about before we came on. I've been working real hard on the pedal steel, so.
And that is, I mean, I play, and that's not an easy instrument to just teach yourself.
No, it's not. Just because, and for those, everybody probably that listens to country music knows the pedal steel, but you have to use, technically, I guess, 6 parts of your body, because you're using both your hands, both your knees, both your feet.
Yeah.
And
so, the knees can go left, right,
or up, down, whatever you want to do. It's just, it's crazy. Yeah. But if you get it down right, it sounds really good.
I used to go to steel guitar conventions in St. Louis where all the guys were like Emmons and just everybody.
All the greats.
And you'd watch all those guys and just think, that's it. I'm turning in my steel. I'm not playing anymore. These guys are so good. I saw Sarah Jory there when she was like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And she's toured the world with so many artists like Van Morrison.
Yeah. That's also the thing, like with my part-time gig at the Opry, working over there, it's like, you know, you play all the time, then you go there and you hear somebody like Tommy White or even Paul Franklin when he shows up, and you're like, I quit. You just can't.
Sign this. And
I'm just done with it, but
Cool. So, when we last talked to you about a year ago, you were still in Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
You're working at the Opry.
Mm-hmm.
You're singing. You're writing. You're learning how to play other instruments. What's changed?
A lot has changed. I graduated from Belmont this past December, so thank you. I appreciate that. Last time we were here, I had to knock on wood to try to get that through, but I did. Let's see what else. Still at the Opry, still working at the Opry. I can't give that job up. I love it to death.
So what is it exactly you do at the Opry?
I am what they call an Opry ambassador. So I conduct backstage tours and work during the shows, and so we just kind of give a lot of hospitality and real good guest experience to the people that are coming to see the Opry and kind of hang out backstage, and you get to meet a lot of cool people by doing that.
Do you ever slip somebody your music? Take that.
Well, only when they ask me. Only when they ask me. I don't ever want to be that guy that's like, hey, here's my mixtape.
Yeah.
Come on in and check that out. But if they ask me, I have, done that. And as a matter of fact, that's actually what kind of led to some of the writing things that I've gotten to do.
Yeah, before we turned on the camera thing there, we were talking, and you've been writing with some pretty powerhouse guys.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough. So from my job at the Opry, there's a guy who plays piano. He's in the house band. His name's Randy Hart, and I owe him all the credit in the world for everything that he has done for me. He's really
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, appreciate you. He's really been an advocate for me, and so I slipped in something one time, and he just kind of listened to it, and he really was.
You have to be careful how you phrase that when you're talking about
guys
in the band. I slipped the guys in the band something.
I know what you're saying. No drugs, just music.
Yeah.
And so I gave that to him, and he's like, I really like your voice. I think you've got a lot of potential. And he started pairing me up with some pretty big powerhouse writers and wondered if they were interested in writing with me. And of course, after meeting with them a couple of times and kind of, of course, anybody that writes with someone that's fairly unknown, especially when you're a big powerhouse writer, they're always going to be probably a little bit skeptical. But I've turned that into some pretty good friendships and partnerships since then. And one of those guys, of course, biggest guy that I've been working with, Kent Blasey, who was, 7 number 1 hits, over 200 cuts, like 50 top 10s, and
excuse me while I pick up that name you just dropped.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. And of course, he wrote with Garth Brooks his first number 1 hit, "If Tomorrow Never Comes." So he was.
That's kind of cool to be writing with somebody. Is that intimidating?
Very much so. Yeah. But Kent is one of those guys that he's really laid back. He doesn't. Anytime that we sit down and write, he'll sit there and if we get stuck on something, he's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, What do you think? You're the person that has all these, big time hits, and I really don't have much accreditation to my name as a writer yet. But it's intimidating, but at the same time, I've learned a lot just being around him. He's very much been a good mentor to me in teaching me certain things and why certain things work in songs and how to really, just the craftsmanship behind it. And there's a lot of technique and stuff behind really being able to craft a good song with passion and making it to where it's real, you know. And I think
it's funny. I was talking to Josh Grider yesterday and about writing, and he spends a lot of time in Nashville writing, but he said it's the best song to come out of the room, and it doesn't matter. You know, when you go in there, you're both writers, and sometimes the younger writer's going to have an idea that the older guy is like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. A lot of that happens from, and that happens between me and Kent a lot of times because he's a lot older than I am. I mean, he came to Nashville in like the 80s. I was born in 1995, so I mean, he's
But Kent, you don't look your age.
Not at all. So I mean, he'll ask me from time to time, what are the young kids into? But me also throwing back and being a pretty traditional type of guy, it's hard for me to try to intel what people my age are actually into.
80s drum loops and backbeats.
Those type of things. So that partnership served me pretty well. We've written a lot of songs together. I'm getting to the process now where I'm about to go do a full-scale demo with some of the things that I've written with them, and we'll just kind of progress and see what happens from there with all of that.
Who else you been writing with?
Bobby Tomberlin. Yeah, Bobby Tomberlin and I are supposed to get together again in March. And he's just been, of course, his success story that he's had cuts on just about everybody that you can think of. And most recently has helped, Mo Pitney with country and a few other things.
Artist,
and that's a good match for me, I believe. It's because Mo Pitney has got one of those real smooth, traditional type of country voices. And I think that falls kind of right in line with similar to my style and what I do. So it's been good as well.
It must be nice for those guys who had hits in the 90s, when traditional was still getting radio airplay, to be working with an artist like yourself that's traditional, and they get to write the stuff that they like writing.
Yeah, and I think that's the big part about it. There's a lot of people that write to try to hit what's on the radio, but I feel like you've got to write where your heart is, and that's what's really going to make music real and genuine, and that's what people relate to and connect to. And so there are people like me, and there's a few others, even William Michael Morgan to an extent with Warner is one of those traditional guys that's been able to come through, and of course, like we said, Mo Pitney. And John Party's last albums we talked about earlier, the California Sunrise album, he had a lot of cuts on there, featured a lot of steel guitar on it, so it's coming back around slowly but surely.
It is. I mean, country music always does that. It gets really popular. The 70s, it was Urban Cowboy, and everybody said that stuff's going to kill country music. You listen to that now, and it's pretty traditional. But out of that came Randy Travis and George Strait and Reba McEntire and all
the
those
best,
people.
in my opinion. Yeah, that's what they call, I think, the prime era of country music, and that's always been where I've been. Kind of where I've drawn a lot of my inspiration. Alan Jackson has always been my number one go-to guy, as well as George Jones. Hey, there's a picture of George on the wall. So that's kind of always been what I've kind of gone after and sought after. So a lot different than some of the things you hear on the radio.
Yeah. You got your guitar. How about doing the song for us?
All right. This is one that I wrote just about a week or two ago. I could tell you the story behind the song, or I could just play it for you because it's just
do the song and then tell us.
All right, that'll work. All right, this one is called "There's Still Some Good." A man asked me for money, said he was hungry. Sitting outside a cafe, but I turned him away. I took him for a thug, figured he wanted beer and drugs, until he stood in line behind me, and 32 cents wasn't enough. Maybe we ain't all that bad, maybe there's still some good. I think most of us are just misunderstood. Someone needs a helping hand. You should do what you can. If we treated everyone we meet like they were our best friend, I think we could. I think we should. There's still some good. So I bought the man his dinner, didn't cost him a dime. Before I made it to my car, he thanked me 3 times. I've always been blessed, I've never had to live that way. So I felt guilty when I saw the smile on his face. 'Cause maybe we ain't all that bad, maybe there's still some good. I think most of us are just misunderstood. When someone needs a helping hand, you should do what you can. If we treated everyone we meet like they were our best friend, I think we could, I think we should. There's still some good. Maybe we ain't all that bad, maybe there's still some good. I think most of us are just misunderstood. When someone needs a helping hand, you should do what you can. If we treated everyone we meet like they were our best friend, I think we could, I think we should. There's still some good. There's still some good.
Very nice, pretty song.
Thank you.
So what's the story behind it?
It's all true. It's all true. So, me and Hannah, who's sitting here with me, we were Hannah. We were out at Cookout, which is like one of those, eat outs that's really cheap, that I ate it a lot when I was at college, and it's cheap and we're broke. So we were like, hey, let's go out to Cookout and eat. And so as I was walking into the store, it was late at night, probably 10 or 11 at night, and there's this guy that just kind of looked just real rough and straggling. He kind of walked over and said, hey man, can I get some money? I really need some food. And I was, I don't ever carry cash on me anyway, and all I had on me was a debit card. And I was, sorry man, all I got is a debit card. I can't help you. And I thought, I don't, kind of misjudged him myself, thinking I don't know what he's going to want to do with this money for sure. And so we go in, and we're standing in line at the counter, and we're getting ready to order, and I turn around, and he's kind of walked in behind me and was standing there, and he had just change in his hand, and I just broke my heart, because I'm like, he really just genuinely wanted something to eat. And I stepped up and I was like, just get whatever you want. And he said, can I get something for me and my wife? Wow. And I was like, yes, sir. And every time that he asked me, he'd order something, and he'd turn back and say, is that okay? Can I, is that, and it was just one of those things that I just had to write something about it. And just like I said, he got his food, and I was sitting over there eating, and he came over and he thanked me just repeatedly, just thank you so much, thank you so much. And so so I just kind of, and I think in the wake of a lot of people think the world has really gone down in a lot of ways that it has, and I just think that was kind of a good time for me to believe that, hey, not everybody that we meet out there is a bad person.
It seems to be a kind of a common thread today that people are trying to get that message across. Luke Bryan's new song, Most People Are Good.
I heard that on my way here.
Nice to have Luke Bryan doing country again.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it was a drastic change from that last thing we put up before.
And Josh Grider's new one is called Good People. It's the same, different stories behind the songs, but that the news is showing one thing, and
I think songwriters in Nashville and other genres are really trying to put out that message of hope for people, because what else do we got at this point? You got, like you said, you got the media every time. You can't even watch the news hardly anymore. Everything in the world just seems like it's burning down. And so just trying to reassure people that they're still good out there. Me personally, I'm a Christian, and I believe that's all part of God's plan, and that's all me, just in my beliefs. So that's kind of what led to that.
Oh, that's very cool. Great song. I hope that does well for you.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. I might add a bridge or something in there after I think about it a little bit later. We'll see.
Do you do that a lot? Do you come back and revisit songs that you've written and maybe make a change to them?
I have, and what happens a lot working with someone like Kent Blasey,
Yeah.
I had a song, for example, that I actually put it out on Facebook. It was called I Hate This Town, and it was fully done, and a lot of people liked it the way it was, and I brought it to him, and after me and him worked on it, we walked away with a completely different song. It's still called I Hate This Town, but, you know, and that's happened a couple of times where I'll write a song and I'll bring it into him, and he goes, well, let's change everything. It's like the concept is kind of still the same, but he'll kind of go through and he'll, you know, strengthen it up and make it a little bit stronger in lyrics and things like that. But, you know, oftentimes you can go back after you've gained more experience and learned more about the craft of songwriting and go back to some of your older songs and think, yeah, you know, there's a couple weak spots in that. Let me go through and see if I can tweak that a little bit. So
it's funny because you'll hear big writers who have, you know, had #1 songs, and they'll listen to it and think, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to go back and change that.
Yeah, and I asked Kent about that one time. I said, you know, at what point can you just let it go and say, this is the song? And he said, I've tried rewriting my songs as they're going up the charts. Yeah. It's like, you know, you just, at what point? But yeah.
So, are you working towards getting something released soon so everybody can get a piece of you?
I am. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that I've been working on with Kent and Bobby Tomberlin, I'm getting ready to hit back into the studio and get in and do that. I'm actually going to go into like the Opry House Band, so I think that's kind of a cool connection.
That's
cool. They kind of all came together with me and were, you know, hey, we'd love to help you out with this, and me being there and working there for 2 years. You know, they're great musicians, but they're all buddies to me. Yeah. I mean, they're all great guys, and so they've always had my back as long as I've been there.
The Opry has always had killer backup guys.
Yeah, always. So I'm excited about that. That's kind of the last or the next project that I've got going on, and looking forward to getting that done in 2018. And
do you ever think when you write your songs and you're a traditional artist? Do you ever think of those songs maybe being recorded by other people and done not so traditionally?
You know, it's always weird when you sit down and you play a song just on an acoustic, and then you listen to what it is after it's been fully produced. And of course, in my brain, I listen to a lot of my stuff, and whenever I picture how it would be produced, I'm thinking, all right, steel guitar lick here, fiddle here, insert dobro lick here, something like that. But somebody else, a producer, may listen to it and say, well, you know, I'm thinking something completely different. I don't think I would be necessarily opposed to it if I, you know, I would take a Luke Bryan cut. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, one that always stands out to me is Body Like a Back Road.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, we talked about this earlier. It's a very good song, but don't call the final production country. But when you listen to it done as an acoustic song, it's a country song.
Yeah.
It's hardcore country.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that the production style has been done.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, rest assured, when I go into the studio, Mike Johnson's on call for me on pedal steel.
Yeah,
I'm bringing him in, and so there's gonna be steel in every one of my songs. That's the only requirement that I have. No matter how much or how little, I have to have it. That's like my signature.
Do you ever feel that pressure that you think, well, if I went with a slightly more pop sound, I'd get a little bit more attention?
That has been the constant thing in Nashville about how much can you give in, and at what point do you give in a little bit. I think if I was to give in at all or even a little bit, I don't think it would be me personally, and there's a lot of people that feel that way. I've tried to do things a little bit more contemporary pop, but at the end of the day, if I had it my way, I would be doing stuff straight out of, you know, 145 way back in like George Jones's time, because that's the kind of music, you know, whenever I really want to feel and really feel country music, I reach back to those songs, you know, that really even in George Jones's voice, like his voice in of himself, you can just feel the emotion out of it.
Frank Sinatra said that George Jones had the second best voice in music.
That's hilarious. Yeah, well, you know, I think he's definitely one of the all-time greats, and I think what made him great is that he sang songs that were his life.
Oh yeah.
It was whether he wrote them or not. I mean, that was the persona.
Very reflective.
They reflected who he was, and I think that's critically important to the genuineness of being an artist. I think that's that's what you are when you call yourself an artist. Is that I'm reflecting, I'm singing songs about my life. This is what I've gone through. These are stories of me or what I'm all about. And that's how you kind of build that persona. And for me, I don't think my voice would suit very well with more pop music.
It's funny, there are a number of artists that have that attitude that, great songs are brought to them, but it's not reflective of them personally. And there are probably more artists that don't do that. They just want great songs,
exactly.
Whether it's a reflection of themselves or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think there's some people, like you said, some people have different views about it, and some people don't care as much. They, like you said, they're after, hey, a great song is a great song. I don't have any boundaries as far as genre goes, but for me personally, I think I get all my emotion from a pedal steel. So
I like the way you think. You want to do another song?
Another song?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Let me think of something right here. Let me do one that Kent and I wrote together.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a Kent Blasey cut right here. It's called "She Ain't Mine." Fell head over heels the moment I met her. My friends told me that I need to forget her, 'cause she's got a man she talks about back in Macon. But it's a side of her that I don't see. She's never mentioned him to me. She comes around, she don't act like she's taken. I don't know if I stand a chance, but I'd sure like to change her plans. She's the words to a song that I can't forget. She's the beauty of 1,000 red sunsets. She's every cliche, every way she's perfect. I can't stop thinking what it'd be like to kiss her lips and to hold her tight, to be the one that's lighting up her eyes. But she ain't mine. Woke up to a message on my phone telling me that she was flying back home, going back to a wedding for a friend. She said she had some things to work out, and we had some things to talk about. Is this where my story ends or where it begins? I keep praying there's a chance that I'll be the one to change her plans. She's the words to a song that I can't forget. She's the beauty of 1,000 red sunsets. She's every cliche, every way she's perfect. I can't stop thinking what it'd be like to kiss her lips and to hold her tight, to be the one that's lighting up her eyes. But she ain't mine. Well, I'm hoping that her heart will change her mind, so I can say she ain't mine. For the last time.
Nice.
Yeah.
His name is Freeman Arthur, and this boy is country. How can people get in touch with you?
Facebook, you can Google me. There's only one Freeman Arthur in the world. Freeman Arthur, not Arthur Freeman. Arthur Freeman is a murderer, in case anybody wants to know, so don't look that guy up.
Well, you're the exact opposite.
Yeah, so I'm not. So, yeah, Freeman Arthur, freemanarthur.com, Facebook, facebook.com/Freeman Arthur, any of that. I put a single out back in November, so that's out there. Apple Music, Spotify, things like that. The usual where you can find stuff. So
cool. Thank you for taking time to be with us.
I
today.
appreciate you
It was
guys
a pleasure
having me.
having you. Man.
It's always great. Thank you
Wish
very
you
much.
the best success
Thank you so
You're gonna
much.
rock it.